Let's go to like the long-standing relationships, because there is a school of thought that sometimes there's too much comfort in those types of relationships.
Right.
Sometimes I don't want to say there's an atrophying of of uh, ambition or things like that, but that's a very interesting thought that you've had this client for 15 years, and so I'm not trying to make people feel paranoid or anything, but sometimes that may not necessarily always be a great thing, if that makes sense.
Right.
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 So I'm curious about how that manifests, because in Portland, and I would say in Seattle, and probably all over the country and all over the world, there are
Mhm.
lots of relationships like that.
There is, and I think, and sometimes, and there just is. This is, it's true. I think, especially with the larger organizations, people don't always realize, like, Wieden Kennedy's AOR for Nike. Nike has probably 500 other agency partners they work with, at least. Also, depending on what your agency is doing and what is success for you to go work with folks, like, just because there's an incumbent that's been there for forever doesn't mean there's not other opportunities. So I always, like, don't make assumptions as to who, when there's no opportunity because of that legacy. But I think too, if you are, especially if there's been a moment in change with leadership, um, it is a moment in time to reach out to that new CMO. Like, take that change in leadership as an opportunity where there might be a shift, or they might relook at things. And they may not, but also don't assume there's not other opportunity there. Um, Agencies I've worked with all had Intel, Nike, Adobe, all the big names, on their roster. And there's millions of dollars of work there to be had. Just because you're not AOR doesn't, mean anything necessarily. So but I do think that stagnant relationship, and maybe people are really innovative in the agencies and that people are moving along, but it just does create an opportunity to introduce some fresh thinking, and sometimes asking for that chance of, hey, and doing a little proactive. I used to call it ideas on a page, a picture and 3 bullet points. Like, let's tee up like 3 new ideas we kind of are observing that brand could be doing better or differently. Not to be critical of the team or the agency, but just more in a positive, proactive, like, hey, have you thought about da 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 da? That doesn't take too much effort on an agency's part to do. We could all brainstorm 3 ideas. And maybe that's a way you enter into a conversation of, hey, we've been thinking about your brand and observing you. Here's this. Again, you're trying to just get a conversation. A lot of time in biz dev too, before you start selling in anything, we're just trying to learn about you, the team, the role, challenges you're facing, if even that.